And now, The History of Orindia, Ajera to Iraja by Caleb Manning. Orindia was once the name used to designate the realms of the eastern waters. Though the term is no longer employed in the halls of politics, nor commonly known to the average citizen, its memory flickers in the hearts of those who hail from the lands that it once encompassed, and many of the elder generation in hushed circles still refer to themselves as Orindians. Yet we must not let the flame of our history dwindle into the obscurity of whispered conversations, nor permit our leaders to enjoin us to abandon the name of our land. We must keep alive the embers of our past and preserve them for generations yet to come. Ajera. Most historians mark the beginning of the first era, often denoted as Ajera, by the ascension of the first king of Orindia, whose name Oris would later grace the burgeoning township in which he was crowned. Oris was known before his coronation as a prominent merchant lord of considerable means and affluence, whose sway in the region made him the ideal candidate for the unification of the surrounding provinces. Regrettably, history is not always forthcoming, and the surviving records of those bygone days are mostly limited to trade agreements and sales receipts. Nevertheless, we can deduce from these ledgers that Oris had but one aim: expansion. The territory spread forth from the heart of Oris, and by the end of the first century, the black banners of Orindia could be seen fluttering in every hamlet and hostelry. Along every thoroughfare, from Oris all the way to the western banks, a new kingdom was born. Oh, I hope that isn't what we were looking at through the window. Second era. It was the fourth king of Orindia who split this vast domain in 3 equal shares, 3 realms for his 3 children. To the eldest he granted the fields and mountains of his great-grandfather, the middle province and heartspring of the kingdom. The eldest accepted the gift and called his new realm Orinda Aries, after the angelic paragon of royalty Orinda. To the youngest he bestowed upon him the realm of Arch Aries, the land of northern storms, a wild and untamed expanse which at the time was not as developed, but a good deal more vast than his elder brother's lot. And to his middle child, his only daughter, he gifted her the southern region of Iraja, the mystical realm of the ancestors, a land steeped in tradition, magic, and poetry of the old tongue. Okay. As the second era drew to a close, the 3 sovereign realms had achieved a period of remarkable progress and prosperity. Each of these distinct regions, ruled by their respective sibling monarchs, had blossomed, cultivating the bountiful resources of their lands and developing a unique character and culture that set them apart from one another. Despite those differences, the sibling monarchs managed to maintain friendly relations throughout their lives, and were known for their cooperation in matters of trade and transportation. The succeeding generations of their heirs continued that tradition, and the third era was defined by the construction of a vast network of railways that spanned the length and breadth of the land, linking the northern mountains of Arch Aries to the southern shores of Iraja. This development facilitated travel and commerce between the 3 realms, further strengthening their bond and laying the foundation for the promise of a prosperous and bright future. A promise that would, unfortunately, as my readers will soon find, not be kept. Fourth era. As the kingdom of Orinda Aries entered the 4th era, a different kind of ruler took the reins of power. King Desolates III was a king who listened to the voices of all his subjects, from the most influential advisors to the humblest of citizens. He was a king who was often seen among the people, eating, drinking, and conversing, a sight that shocked not only the gentry and the court, but the masses as well, who could scarce believe that they, as peasantry, would ever sup with the crown. Desolates was renowned as the king of the people, and it was therefore a surprise to no one when he made the decision to move the capital from the secluded mountains of Reddington to the public stage of Oris, leaving castle and court behind. The people were overjoyed by this choice, and the city welcomed their king with open arms and great fanfare. Yet not all were swayed so easily. There were those that viewed the king's conduct to be unbecoming of his station, and were wary of how readily he could be persuaded by the tears and tales of the common folk. These dissenting voices planted the seeds of discontent, which took root in the lawns and gardens of the nobles of Fen, or as I have been instructed to say, the grand city of Fen. Era of Ruin. After the passing of King Desolates III, the Fourth Era came to an abrupt end. Thankfully, the king died naturally in his old age and surrounded by his people in Oris, far away from the growing unrest among the western city of Fen. On the very next day, the 6th of October, the self-proclaimed Prince Laerson of Fen declared himself true monarch. This declaration was bolstered by a surprising number of supporters due to the fact that Desolates IV shared his father's good name, but little of his virtues. As the prospect of civil war seemed inevitable, the realm's regiments were hastily recalled from the frontiers to stamp out and put an end to the Fensurrection. However, instead of restoring order, what ensued was a savage and merciless campaign against their own people. The gardens of Fen, once a center of splendor, were transformed into a battlefield as the cries of the innocent echoed through the city's streets, stained in red. The brutality of the pacification of Fen did not go unnoticed by neighbors. As sympathy for the city surged, allies came forward to lend support. Among them was the general of the Northern Regiment who, sickened by the barbaric actions of the other battalions, joined forces with Prince Laerson to form a formidable army. Together they leveraged their political influence and favors to persuade the nearby realms of Arch-Ares and Nuance to join their cause. However, even with the tide turning in their favor, victory did not come easy. The War of the Fifth Era lasted 22 long years, and saw buried 1 in every 3 men. Prince Laerson himself added another number to the casualties. However, even in death he had won. Oris had fallen, and with it the realm. The black flags that had flown for 5 eras were burned, and in their place red banners were hoisted to honor the fallen of Fen. The few remaining members of the former royal family fled in fear of their lives to the south, forever exiled. The current era. Today, the realms inherited by the 3, Fen-Ares, Arch-Ares, and Araja, once again stand united as allies. Though the distance between our peoples has grown, our connection to this land remains as strong as ever. The spruce and birch that span across our realms serve as a constant reminder that we all share a common past. And as those trees continue to grow, so do our hopes for a common future. A future where we are not defined by the colors of the banners we raise, but by that which connects us, a land that we each call home. For this is, despite everything else, a land rich in history, a land of myth and wonder, a land that sprung forth from the greatest empire the world has ever seen, the land of our fathers, of our mothers, and of our children. This land is, after all that has happened, still Orindia. Yeah, that's going to hork a whole lot of people off, that book. Drafting strategy. This is not what I expected to find, but okay. Looks like I'm reading stuff again. My type of room. As architects, we know that designing a building is a complex and multifaceted process. From the layout to the details, every decision we make can have a significant impact on the final result. Perhaps that's why we're always looking for ways to improve our craft and refine our ideas. In this edition of Drafting Strategy, we're excited to introduce a useful concept that can take your designs to the next level: room subtypes. While we've previously explored the use of colored floor plans to categorize the basic kinds of rooms, in this issue we'll be examining architectural symbols that can be used to further classify and differentiate the types of rooms in your house. These symbols provide the draftsman with a visual way to indicate the purpose and function of a room. Whether it's a designated workspace, a utility control room, or a conundrum, these subtype symbols can communicate the intended use of a room at a quick glance. By including these symbols on their floor plans, architects can make it easier for contractors and builders to understand their vision and bring it to life. But the benefits of floor plan categorization go beyond just clarity. By understanding and identifying subtypes, architects can craft strategies that surpass the surface-level simplistic and approaches commonly used by inexperienced drafters. Drafting rooms are floor plans that affect the draft pool or the drafting process. As such, they are spaces that are often designed for activities related to academic pursuits and research. Some of their common features include floor plan redrawing, draft pool manipulation, and rarity adjustments. As students of the art of drafting, aspiring architects can greatly benefit from the knowledge, experience, and learning opportunities that these rooms have to offer. Academia isn't only found in the mountains of Corerica. Classroom is a great example of the scholastic strategies that this room type has to offer. Not only does it provide synergy for other drafting rooms, but it's also a valuable source of information and knowledge. The classrooms you'll find will fall under one of 8 different grades, ranging from first grade to the culmination of your academic journey, grade 8. However, there are rumors of an additional annex classroom at Mount Holly Elementary used solely for exams and student testing. But finding it has been nearly impossible, as it requires drafting more than 8 classrooms. Well, we know how to do that then. Ducts. Shifting gears. Far from the pristine white pages of academia, the mechanical world is a rugged industrial space, marked by the symbol of the gear and stained with the grime of heavy machinery. These floor plans prioritize the function over aesthetics, and the design of each mechanical room reflects its focus on efficiency. These rooms serve as the command centers for estate operations, housing the control systems that keep everything running smoothly. Drafting from a door that is steam-powered will increase the likelihood of drawing rooms with ducts. Boiler room is known as a power source because it provides steam power to various rooms in the house. Steam is conveyed room to room via ducts that run across the ceiling, and power can be transported across great distances as long as you continue to string together rooms that contain power ducts. So when you're in a room, look up! There might be a duct. Now we're getting silly. Oh, all this stuff that we would have loved to have known earlier. Some rooms offer long-term benefits rather than immediate resources. These floor plans, known as tomorrow rooms, are considered an investment for the future, and they offer the forward-thinking architect a number of strategies that will pay dividends down the road. Strategic planning is critical to drafting success, and knowing when to forsake the current day's progress to set yourself up for a prosperous future is a critical decision that each architect will encounter. The freezer will freeze your assets, but entering a furnace or sauna will thaw any gems or gold you're carrying, and you'll be able to use them again. You can go back in the freezer. If you put them too close to each other, you won't be able to freeze your assets again. Fine. Any architect who loves a challenge inevitably ends up drafting a few puzzle rooms in their house. These floor plans, marked only with a single enigmatic jigsaw piece, lack accompanying text and explanations, as if to suggest that even the room's function is part of the puzzle. Some puzzle rooms, like parlor and billiard room, become increasingly difficult as you solve them. Then we have a spread room. These floor plans enable the architect to spread out items among many rooms. When items are spread, they are only placed in currently active rooms in the house. The number of items that are spread is determined by the number of rooms on your estate. Waiting until your house is bigger will provide larger spreads. I wanted to use this segment to thank all our readers for the wonderful mail and feedback we've received when we sent out our first issue of Drafting Strategy. It's incredibly rewarding to create something that is appreciated. It's even more rewarding to know that somewhere out there a young architect is reading our magazine and getting inspired to build something of his own that may one day in turn inspire others. When I was a child, I vividly remember the experience of reading the memoirs of the court's grand architect, Loza Tay Rayland. To say it changed me is an understatement. It had a profound effect on the way I view the world and the spaces within it. We each draft our own dreams as a child, faint sketches on blurry blueprints, illegible to all, especially ourselves. And our purpose, why it is found hidden in the floor plans of our youth. Phew. I'm reading so much my voice is starting to go.